We've all been there. At some point in every relationship, you start to run out of things to say. Every action has been done to death, and you start looking around, searching for something new that catches your eye. The exact same thing applies to horror movies. You can only reheat the same concept so many times before you have to get back in the lab and cook up something new, something fresh, or you risk losing your audience forever. 1998 dropped the Child's Play name entirely and gave us a marriage blessed by Damballa with The Bride of Chucky. We are full steam ahead, not only with a movie title worthy of the Universal Monster lineage, something similar to the way they started Child's Play 2 out, but the imagery of it as well. It's a great theme, great opening credits. I'm ready to go here, and holy shit, gang. We get to a highly locked down evidence facility in a rainstorm, perfect tone to start the movie, and we look in one evidence locker, and we see a hockey mask right next to a chainsaw. And before you can pick your jaw up off the floor, we move to another one, and we see a Michael Myers mask next to a goddamn Freddy Krueger glove. I'm in horror heaven right now, and I absolutely love what we're doing here. The story we're starting off with is cop on the take. He's been paid to take a bag out of an evidence locker and drive it to a seedy location in the middle of this rainstorm. Now, I could recognize the voice on the other end of the phone that he was talking on, and it was Jennifer Tilly, and she plays Tiffany here, warning him that curiosity indeed killed the cat. Now, this leads him, of course, to looking in the bag because guys don't listen to pretty girls most of the time. And he gets his throat cut for it. And then we see Tiffany looking unreal. Jennifer Tilly is stunning. She pulls a battered Chucky doll out from the evidence bag, says hello. Rob Zombie's Living Dead Girl takes us through the rest of the cold open.
Well, hello, Dolly.
And we are back in good guy business, baby. Really digging the way this one's going so far. Tiffany's trailer, though, she's the very next stop. And Tiffany lives in this little Airstream trailer. I mean, it is not much of anything. Surrounded by dolls. She's got a Voodoo for Dummies book that she's reading out of, which is a great touch, I thought. And then she's got newspaper clippings of the Lakeshore Strangler, a.k.a. Charles Lee Ray, a.k.a. Chucky, all over the place, framed even. She pieces Chucky back together as best she can. But this guy at this point, after all these films, he still looks like he picked a fight with Wolverine. I mean, he is looking rough. We also get John Ritter in a Chucky movie. I would have really popped for Suzanne Summers, but what are you going to do? I mean, it's John Ritter. He was in Problem Child. And if you think about it, how similar are the two redheads from these two franchises, Problem Child and Child's Play? There's something there. We'll do a deep dive on that. But in this movie, he's a police chief, and he's got a niece, Jade, played by Katherine Heigl. I completely forgot she was in this movie. This must have been way before she was the scourge of Hollywood. But she's dating a guy that he's not ultimately fond of, and the power of this police chief has gone to his head. So he uses it to sort of puppeteer Jade's life. And then he also utilizes a guy that Jade calls Needle Nose to keep an eye on her and ultimately this boy named Jesse at all times. Now, Jesse winds up being our main male character that's taller than 2 feet. And he lives in a trailer very, very close to Tiffany. That plays into this movie a little later on. Now, back at Tiffany's house, she's readying for a ceremony where she hopes to resurrect the spirit of Charles Lee Ray. And she follows that Voodoo for Dummies book to the letter, but does not appear to work. And this is where we meet Alexis Arquette. Also, really short role, really plays this well, though, as a poser / murderer in training that is smitten with Tiffany, and, who can blame the guy? But he's in that trailer, and he's putting the full court press on Tiffany, and then Tiffany realizes that the Chucky doll is no longer in the center of that pentagram that she left it on the floor. It actually worked. That Voodoo for Dummies book, that's a hell of a good advertisement, because that shit worked. Now, knowing Chucky was a jealous boyfriend, she chains this poser up to her bed, she binds his wrists, binds his feet, he can't move at all, and then she puts the Chucky doll on top of this guy and starts to dance seductively. Chucky, of course, spins his head around, super creepy, looks down at the guy, rips his lip ring out, puts a pillow over his face, and sits on him while he starts flirting with his ex-girlfriend, because apparently Tiffany was the girlfriend or wife or better half of Charles Lee Ray way before he became a plastic doll. It's a sweet reunion for all of about 5 minutes, and then Tiffany makes the mistake of mentioning that she would hope to marry Chucky someday, and he laughs as Chucky laughs at her, and that does not sit well with Tiffany because she's absolutely homicidal and crazy too, and she drops him in a playpen that she's custom made, locks him up, and he is pissed. But hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. When will we as men ever truly understand that fact? Now, you know he's not going to be in that playpen for very long, but it gives us some funny moments. He's using those alphabet blocks to spell out die, Tiffany, die. He's got a couple of different toys that ask him to spell the word woman, and he keeps spelling it B-I-T-C-H no matter how many times this machine's telling him he got it wrong. Some funny stuff. He even gets his own girlfriend in the form of a dark-haired doll that Tiffany brings home, slides into the playpen. Super romantic stuff. Then Tiffany's got the dilemma of getting rid of the dead body. Packs him up into one of those really fancy crates. I don't know how she's got to be, 120 pounds? I don't know how she dragged this thing outside, but she drags it outside and she sees Jesse washing his van and asks him to help. So that's the connection. This is how Tiffany knows Jesse and ultimately will be put in contact with Jade, and then that's the crux of our movie. Now, as he is wont to do, Chucky gets loose while Tiffany is taking a bath and watching Bride of Frankenstein. Yet another really great touch to this film. She gets her TV tossed in the bathtub though, and it's bye-bye baby. All part of the plan, because Chucky does his ceremony with that doll that Tiffany gave him, transfers Tiffany's soul into the doll, and she does not at all handle it well. Once temper's cool, the unhappy couple realize they have to have one another to get new bodies. The idea being is the amulet of Damballa, which we're just learning about after 3 films, is still around the neck of Charles Lee Ray's corpse. So they need to get to Hackensack, New Jersey, dig up the body, get the amulet, and pick out 2 new people they're going to transfer their souls into. Piece of cake. This is where Jesse comes in, though. Tiffany calls him up and says, hey, I'll give you $500, take these 2 dolls to New Jersey. And then Jade enters the story. Apparently $500 is enough back in 1998 to start a brand new life, because Jesse plans to use that money to marry Jade and get free from under the thumb of her police chief uncle. Now, while they're packing Jade's stuff, John Ritter, being the sneaky little shit that he is, gets into their van with the intention of planting marijuana that he can later bust Jesse for and lock his ass up. The problem here is he's messing with the doll's ride. So naturally, Chucky and Tiffany plot a very creative, very innovative way to dispatch this guy, and he winds up leaving him looking like Pinhead from Hellraiser, which Chucky references. And I popped for how much love the big franchises are getting in this movie. I mean, think about it. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween, of course, now Hellraiser. I mean, love it. Absolutely love it. Couple that with the Bride of Frankenstein throwback to the bathtub. They're doing great things here. Great things with this movie. So after Chucky smokes the planted weed, because of course Chucky smokes the planted weed, he feels the need to impress Tiffany by sneaking over to Officer Needlenose's car, who have since pulled over the van, and blowing it to pieces. Now, obviously, such a move draws a ton of attention, so much so that when Jesse and Jade are panicking and they get in the van to leave, a bystander points them out as the culprits. Now we get to a point where Jade thinks Jesse did all this, and then Jesse's starting to think that Jade did all this. And they still end up getting married. I kind of laughed about that. I didn't really understand it, but they get married, and they don't believe one another, but the whole time, Chucky and Tiffany are having a blast with this entire thing. And when a swinger couple bursts into Jesse and Jade's honeymoon suite, ultimately swiping Jesse's wallet, the dolls see it, and they see that as an opportunity to create some carnage, because they know these kids can't get anywhere without the money that's in that wallet. So they sneak over, pay these swingers a quick visit, and what we get after that is, I didn't think that a sex scene between dolls was something I ever needed to see, but God, it was so funny. And when Chucky sat there and confessed to Tiffany, feeling a little bit like Pinocchio here, I laughed my ass off at that line. And then Tiffany asked him if he has a rubber, and he assures her that he's all rubber. I mean, they really lean into the absurdity of this movie's premise, and it's really, really freaking enjoyable right here. I dig it. Now, there's a whole lot that happens at the end of this film, including Jesse and Jade pitting Tiffany and Chucky against one another. We get an old school hostage swap of Chucky holding Jade while Jesse has Tiffany. Dishes are being thrown. There's some Martha Stewart slander in there, and a burst scene that I didn't think anybody thought was coming when they watched this in the movie theater. This is an 8 out of 10. This ages gracefully. This is a stellar installment in this franchise. They dropped the Child's Play name. They really pushed the gas pedal on everything that worked with this franchise. It's a standout. I had more fun watching it yesterday in that rewatch than I ever have before. It's campy where it needs to be. It's scary where it has to be. And the introduction of Tiffany, I think, to the franchise is a shot in the arm that they desperately needed. Great deaths. The Pinhead death was innovative. Tiffany throws a champagne bottle into a mirror on the ceiling, and the shards of the mirror fall down onto a waterbed, and the couple that are laying on the waterbed. Really gruesome way for those guys to go, but they sucked anyway, so we'll see you later. This was the best kind of way to reintroduce this story and this mangled ginger bastard back to the masses. Absolutely loved it. If you loved it, subscribe to the channel, throw us a like, let me know what you think. I thought Bride of Chucky was one of the better ones. We're going to move on now to Seed of Chucky, and there is some point where you start to get a little silly with it, but we'll see what we think of this ever-growing family in horror movie lore. Until then, I'm Matthew Essex. This is Aging Gracefully. I'll see you guys on the other side.